Hello, I want to talk about the offensive weapons ban that is being proposed by UK Home Secretary Amber Rudd at the moment. Um, I've already made a video about this, just talking about it in general, but I want to be more specific this time. I want to target a specific part of this proposal, and that is to ban carrying knives in schools, colleges and universities and other educational establishments. Now, I've got some really important points to make here because we do need knives in these establishments, and I'll explain why. So first off, I'll start with schools. It's already illegal to take any knife into a school. We're talking about a primary or a high school here. We're not talking about university or college right now. We're talking about a school. It is already a crime to take any knife whatsoever into a school. If you're a pupil and you're taking a pen knife or any other knife in a school, that is already a crime. That is punishable by a £5,000 fine and I believe 2 years in prison. Or is it 5 years in prison? I can't quite remember, but it is already a crime. So don't do it. Adding new laws isn't going to change that. Now, also, more importantly, college and university. Now, I'm of college age and I'm at college, so this does directly affect me. Now, a lot of people will probably think, yeah, this is reasonable, you don't need knives or anything sharp in college. Well, you're very wrong. It really depends on the course you're doing. Now, I'm going to sit and explain this. I personally do need to take knives into college, and this isn't a want, this is a need. Both this year and last year, I have needed knives. Now, I'll start off with last year. Last year, I attended SRUC, Scotland's Rural University College. The name kind of speaks for itself. You know, you're doing sort of outdoor stuff for the most part, forestry, that kind of thing. And knives and axes are a very big part of that, and we did use knives and axes almost on a daily basis, and machetes. So of course the students had to go into the tool shed and get these tools and take them out to the woods to use. Now, college equipment is honestly pretty terrible, and with the lecturer's consent, my lecturer said it was okay. He allowed me to bring in my own tools because I'm a responsible person. So the tools I brought in were this axe. So I took this axe to college to help me do my work for the college. This was part of my studying at SRUC. You know, I'd rather take my own tools in because I keep them sharp and I look after them. College equipment is really bad. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is this machete. This is actually quite a small machete, but I did take this for cutting limbs off trees, to be cut into firewood, because that was part of the course. I also took another, it was a Mora companion, but I don't have that with me at the moment. So again, I did have this knife, this machete with me at college. And I just kept this in my rucksack. I also took a Swiss Army knife, which I regularly used, and a Leatherman, which also has a knife. Now, at the other course I'm doing right now, I'm doing furniture making. Again, we use knives for that. Now, that might sound a bit odd, but we do use knives. We use utility knives like these. This is a tool that I need to use as part of my course. I take a whole toolbox full of tools. I keep a padlock on my toolbox because I don't want the other students from stealing anything. That's just my choice. It's not something I have to do. And a couple smaller ones and a scalpel. So that's 3 knives right there that I take to college for doing furniture making. Another tool, of course, that we quite often use in woodworking and furniture making is a chisel. This is another sharp tool. These have to be kept very, very sharp. Now again, they want to completely ban you from taking anything sharp into college. That would, I don't know if I would include this, but I'm just trying to show how silly this proposal is. And another thing, a bradawl, look at the point on this thing. You know, for marking a hole in wood. Now, I don't think this proposal is to directly target, you know, these tools in college, but what it is targeting, I believe, is things like this, Swiss Army knives. And I would like to ask the question, why? Now, why would you want to take something like this to college? Well, personally, I carry these everywhere. No matter where I go, I take one of these. And it's the same for a lot of other people. Now again, these are expensive. These cost about £50 to £70 in the UK. You're not going to take one of these to stab someone. I've carried one of these every day since I was about 15. That's, you know, quite a bit of time. I don't really want to say my age, but that's quite a lot of time anyway. I've also took one of my keys, and I have been no threat to anyone. I do use these. I've used these to help repair people's glasses with a screwdriver on them. I've used this to get splinters out of my hand. I've used the magnifying glass to look at, you know, I've used these a lot at college. And I also used the knife at college as well, for cutting my fruit. You know, I quite like to eat a bit of fruit, and well, I prefer to cut them with a knife. These are perfectly legal to carry, and that's one of the reasons why I carry a knife, is to cut fruit. Now, you could argue that I don't need this. Well, I'm not really causing any problems though, am I? I mean, how could it be okay for me to carry this, but not this? This, for the most part, is illegal to carry without a good reason. This, I do not need a reason to carry. For some reason, they want to change the law, so I cannot carry this. Now, an exception will probably be made for this, but doesn't that seem silly? This is a locking blade, and it's much longer than this Swiss Army knife. Furthermore, what's more commonly used in crime? Swiss Army knives that cost about £50, or utility knives that you can get for less than a tenner. These are commonly used in crime. And I would also like to ask, how often do you hear of stabbings in colleges or universities? Now, there are a few in schools, but again, it's already illegal to take any knife into school. That's already a crime. I would also like to point out the fact that even in schools there are still knives. In, what do you call them, the home economics department, I believe, you know, where you do your cooking, there's obviously big kitchen knives. Because we need to learn to cook, don't we? What's to stop a pupil from using one of those? You know, sticking that in his bag or something. It's not the tool that matters, it really is the intention. Or what if they're in the woodworking department and they, you know... I remember when I was at high school, actually, a lot of the pupils were throwing chisels at each other. Now, to me, that's absolutely insane. But pupils were throwing chisels at each other, so it's... I don't even know what to say, really. Banning these in certain places isn't going to make a difference. It's already illegal to carry these in school. I would also like to point out that even under 18s do need knives. There are some students in my group that are, my group at college, that are under 18. I think the youngest is 16, and there are several 17-year-olds who attend. They also bring in their own knives and chisels. You know, scalpels to mark out the wood, because we're doing furniture making. So they bring in their own tools. Another personal story is when I was also 15, I used to volunteer at a large estate. Again, I needed a lock knife. Now, this is more going into this should under 18s be allowed knives, but it's still relevant. I'm going to do a separate video on flick knives as well. I'm actually going to make several videos in this whole proposal that Amber Rudd's put out there, because I think it's very important to address, because this isn't going to solve any problems. That's all I wanted to say. Please have a look at the proposal and fill out the poll. This is very important. You know, banning responsible users, collectors, sportsmen, whatever, for having these things, buying them, taking them out, isn't going to deter criminals. It really isn't.